Well, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm waiting for the same question I've answered 5 times so far already.
Thank you for slogging through a long press day. We'll try and make this last one the best one.
I'm sure it will be. We're all sort of loosened up now. Yeah.
And it's Skybound with the Talking Joe guys. Everyone calm down. We're here to talk comics. Skybound at Skybound. Hey, it's me, Mark, and welcome to Talking Joe, the G.I. Joe Comics podcast. Now, today we are talking with the creators of the forthcoming M.A.S.K series. It is Dan Waters and Pye Parr, but I will not be talking to them alone. As always, I'll be joined by my co-host. It's a real American Tim. It's Tim Finn.
Crusaders working overtime, recording episodes about this comic. Hi, Mark. Hello, listeners and viewers. Before we bring in our guests, I just want to say we have recorded this episode after Free Comic Book Day and the not free version of Energon Universe Special 2026, but before issue 1 of M.A.S.K is on sale. Mark, you have read an advanced copy of M.A.S.K #1, and but I have read...
I am not going to spoil it in this discussion. So this is a spoiler-free discussion of M.A.S.K issue 1, but not a spoiler-free discussion of the Energon Universe Special, which will have been out for quite a while at this point.
And to prep for our talk, I have read part of issue 1 of M.A.S.K, but I didn't want to read all of it because I still want to be surprised when the physical object comes out.
So joining us is Dan Waters, an English comics writer who has written for Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and independent comics. He has best known for his work on the Skybound Energon Universe Destro miniseries, as well as the Silent Missions Jinx story with Dani. He may have also written some other comics for little-known characters such as Batman and Nightwing for DC's, but who cares about them? And Simon Pye Parr is a graphic designer, comic artist, and illustrator known for his comic work with Rob Williams on the magnificent Petrol Head, plus Intestinauts for 2000 AD, New Gods for DC Comics, and various illustrations of Transformers transforming into London power stations. Do check out his Battersea power station Transformers. They are a delight. But, of course, his most significant work to date has been his covers for G.I. Joe, such as this wonderful one of Hound and Clutch, and, of course, his one of Matt Tracker on the cover to issue 19. But with all of that said and done, let's bring on our guests. It's Dan and Pye. So welcome, Dan and Pye.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
I feel I have to ask, Pye, how frequently are you called Pye? Is this a professional thing? Is this an entire life thing? Is this a change of name thing?
It's an entire life thing that I desperately regret starting to use professionally. The only people, my real name is Simon, but the only people who call me Simon is my mum, pretty much. Like even my dad has swiped. It was like a school nickname that has stuck for the rest of my life. And since I was at school drawing, I'd sign all my pictures Pye, and then first time I came to be credited professionally, I thought, well, what do I put my real name? And now I'm stuck. But then all that ever happens is you just get, in an ideal world, I'd just be Jock and nobody would talk about my real name. But on every sort of mention ever, it's Simon Pye Parr or Pye. I'm like, oh, God, I should have just put Simon Parr. It would have been a lot easier. But there we are.
And now I feel like I have to ask, where did the exotic name of Dan come from?
The Bible.
Very good.
Pye, could you point out one or two things in the space where you are and tell our viewers and listeners, is there some art behind you, an object? Is this your studio?
Well, so I've got I don't know whether you've seen these. These are like man-child toys. Like they're made by a company called Play Forever, who take like classic cars and then sort of refine them down to their kind of most minimal form and make little sort of toy sculpture things for them. And I've also got some, I mean, it's nothing but toy cars behind me. I've got Lego
DeLorean, yeah.
I've got an old Bigfoot. And
I saw Bigfoot in 1983.
Really,
at a monster truck rally.
Wicked. That's the best one, isn't it? The older ones are great. He's not sort of, when it was actually a truck with big wheels as opposed to not really a car at all anymore.
Now, in the press for M.A.S.K, you said, Pye, never have I more bitterly regretted selling my beloved childhood toys, but the chance to rebuild all of that stuff on the page has more than made up for it. Have you gone back and recreated in some form a M.A.S.K toy collection? Have you ventured out to getting physical M.A.S.K plastic in your hand?
No, and you know what? It wasn't until afterwards I signed on for doing this that I noticed that Hasbro had re-released a load of the toys, haven't they? And you could get them again. And by the time I realised, they'd all sold out everywhere or are very expensive. And I thought, but yeah, no, I saw, and I didn't. And they're one of the few ones I did sell, and I don't know why. I think I must have looked on eBay one day in my mid-20s and thought, I could get a bit of drinking money here, and got rid of them. And that and my Sega Master System, I'm an idiot. Why did I get rid of those things?
I bet the pints were good.
What about you, Dan? Did you have any M.A.S.K plastic in your toy collection as a child?
No, not really. I was too young for it the first time round, and then sort of I would see them here and about. They were sort of peripheral by the time I was a kid, where you'd sort of see them and you'd be like, these are cool and sort of crazy, but I have no idea what they are or where they've come from. They're just sort of just appeared like they were from space.
because there wasn't as culturally resonant TV show or series of movies or later toys. You're saying
there's like a 2-year window of them being on the shelves and on TV, and then after that, it's jumble sales and the odd random place.
Yeah, and it was I'm too young to have caught M.A.S.K the first time around, but I'm old enough that we didn't have the internet when I was a kid. So it's not like you could just be like, oh, that's cool, I'm going to go look it up. Just like you see it and that's it. It exists, and the mystery must remain until you're in your 30s and you write the comic.
At the risk of getting all nostalgic, I think that's one of the best things about that time, really, is because you do end up smashing all these toys together because you've got no frame of reference for half the stuff you get if you've missed cartoons. So you just end up playing with it all together. And that was one of the good things about M.A.S.K toys is they kind of fit multiple toy lines that you could muck around. Technic Lego men fit in them quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a change in sort of how media is consumed now, because you do see sort of kids now going like, I want to get into Batman comics, and then trying to start in 1939, and like
way forward.
Since this brand is so affiliated with vehicles, with cars and jeeps and boats, Dan and Pye, do you have driver's licenses? Was there a family car or an aspirational car when you were younger? Is there a car or a dream car in your life now? I mean, a real full-size car.
Dan, you can't drive, can you? I don't think.
No, I'm a fraud.
Dan, do you have, as someone who might appreciate automotive design, do you have a favorite car, or do you think about A brand name of car?
Dragula from the Monsters. Like that was my dream car.
Okay. Pye, did you have a car growing up? Do you have a favorite car now?
I am a bit of a petrol head. So I grew up in a very small English village, so I passed my driving test the first chance I got, so I could actually get somewhere. At the time when I passed my test, I desperately wanted a Subaru Impreza Turbo, which I'd probably, if money was no object, that would be in my garage still for old time's sake. But I'm a bit more mature now, I suppose. I think what I'd really like is a 1960s Alfa Romeo GTA.
What British Racing Green? What color?
No, like sort of like a cherry red with a yellow band around the front lights.
Cool.
I've got to earn a few more royalties till I can get one of those, though.
So you dropped in there, Petrol Head. So opportune time to drop in an image of Petrol Head, which is one of your biggest works to date. I don't know. Is it the one that most people come to you most about? I know that you've worked on New Gods as well, and a few other bits and pieces here and there. But yeah, it's an amazing series, and it feels like it was a calling card for M.A.S.K. The commissioning editor, seeing if they were thinking that they had a series called M.A.S.K. coming up featuring these amazing vehicles, and they saw your work, they must have gone, right, I think we've found our man. Can you tell us a little bit about Petrol Head?
Yeah, sure. I think that's exactly what happened with M.A.S.K. It's opened a lot of doors. Yeah, no, I think that's the main thing I'm known for, really. Like I did some smaller strips in 2000 AD, but nothing. I never worked on Judge Dredd or anything like that. It was all quite idiosyncratic. Although it was still robots again, interestingly, and the robots I did for 2000 AD looked quite like T-Bob, which I realised this week. Yeah, Petrol Head. Yeah, that came about. That was a great job, and like. There will be more of it too, but I've got to finish M.A.S.K. first.
Finish M.A.S.K? Oh no!
Well, I'm contracted for a certain amount on M.A.S.K, and while I'm happy to carry on, I will have to stop and do Petrol Head at some point because we did leave it on a bit of a cliffhanger. Yeah, I don't. What do you want to
know? For Americans who don't know the words that are being said here, Petrol Head. Like petrol, like petroleum. This is like Gearhead.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, Gearhead. Okay. Yeah, it was interesting, like because obviously me and Rob's Welsh, but we named it this, and I think one of the first bits of feedback he got was from an American writer, Brian K. Vaughan, maybe. He said, "First off, what's petrol?" And we were like, "Oh God." But yes, yeah, it's effectively Gearhead.
Okay.
And it's about a racing car driving robot who has long since retired and is lured out of misery by accidentally helping a girl on the run from the police.
Yeah, it's a great book, and I do recommend that people check it out, particularly if they are enjoying your work on M.A.S.K. It's massive, colourful, bombastic visuals of robots and cars and racing and action. So it does feel like it's very much in that wheelhouse. For M.A.S.K. And bringing it back, I guess. How did you guys get involved in M.A.S.K? What was the point at which this project came onto your radar?
It was after we'd done the Destro book, pre the Joe series. I think everyone had really enjoyed working on that, so they kept me in mind for when more stuff came along. Ben Abernathy, the editor on that book, he and I were trying to find something to work on, and when this sort of came along, it was one of those ones of where Ben sort of mentioned like, oh, there's talk of a fourth Energon Universe book, and my brain immediately went, I hope it's M.A.S.K. And then it was M.A.S.K. So it was kind of something I could see the potential. I could see like immediately think like, oh, this would be a cool thing to do in this universe. It would occupy a space that isn't currently occupied. So it just sort of all came together quite easily at that point. It felt like a no-brainer. And then Ben said, "Oh, what do you think about Pye for this?" And I was like, "Well, duh! Like that. I'd read Petrol Head. And I was like, it's so obvious. We would have been fools not to."
And did you get a chance in terms of where we've got to with Mask? We've kind of had the story in Transformers, sort of introducing Miles Mayhem, and there's been the story in G.I. Joe introducing Matt Tracker, which have sort of converged in the start of your story in the Energon Universe Special of those coming together. Did you get a chance to kind of influence what was being seeded in those books, or was that kind of a thing presented to you of, this is what we've built so far, have at it?
Yeah, I mean, they were careful because the Tracker, I think, was introduced in the sort of Energon Special 2024 or 25.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think they were sort of leave the space there where it could sort of go like different directions. We didn't learn much about what he was doing, what he was up to, and then by the time the sort of mayhem stuff was happening in Transformers, my pitch was already in, so that stuff was sort of able to be informed by each other. But both Rob and Josh like very much know what they're doing, and there was a sort of specific space here that both they'd sort of built into the universe, and that was sort of, for me, felt like the obvious space to fill. So there wasn't too much back and forth on that. It was just sort of picking up what was laid down.
Dan, can you differentiate? So Nightwing is a solo book, Destro is a solo book, M.A.S.K is a team book. When you approach a script, are you thinking differently? Are you juggling different ideas or sort of pushes?
Somewhat. Teams are intrinsically probably a little more difficult in that you're balancing more characters on the page, and trying to make sure that they all still have depth and purpose. I would really not want the characters to sort of be there and not have just be there to look pretty in the background, which I think is something that is a sort of danger of team books. But that said, I think by the end of Destro, we had him. There was 7 or 8 major characters in the mix in that finale. So I think sometimes these things just happen anyway. M.A.S.K as a sort of structure, the direction we've gone with it, which was kind of built in, is that it's a decentralized network. So we're not trying to put sort of 25 M.A.S.K characters all in a room at once. The idea is that Tracker will call on you as and when he needs you. So like the characters kind of they each get their moment in the sun rather than all being thrust together at once.
And your first issue together was on the Energon Universe Special. Did you know that it was always going to be that special issue when you were writing it, or were you writing it as an issue 0, an issue 1? And if if you knew it was the special, did you think that informed the way that you approached it in a different way that you might have otherwise have tackled the book?
Well, I think to sort of give you a glimpse of how the sort of how the sausage is made. This one, and this isn't normally how it happens, but what actually happened with this one is I handed in a draft for issue 1, and the feedback came back that was like, we really like all the setup for Venom, and we have been trying to figure out our Energon special for this year. So what would you think about us? What would you think about maybe like pulling that stuff out of issue 1 and then sort of reforming it? It didn't actually take very much reformatting, but like a little bit of reformatting to turn it into its own sort of story, and then we could put stuff that was going to be in issue 2 into issue 1, and stuff just sort of shifts around that. So yeah, those pages were written as of M.A.S.K issue 1, and it it was very complimentary that they were like, we like this enough to sort of want to lead our Free Comic Book Day special with it. So I didn't do too much crumbling.
This was the best Free Comic Book Day or comics giveaway day comic book this year, and I might be biased because I'm co-hosting this show, but this is the third year in a row I've been really impressed by how much oomph, how much bang for your buck Skybound gives people for a free comic book. Pye, you color this story in addition to drawing it, and the colors are so gorgeous and articulated. You are not the series color artist. Can you talk about that arrangement and your decision or your choice to color this lead story?
Yeah, initially, I mean, I would love to color the whole thing, to be honest, because I do enjoy coloring my own work. But the way I draw is set up to almost be colored. Like I'm not an artist who uses a lot of hatching or volume work in my line work. I rely on the colors for that. So it is difficult for someone else to come in and do that job. But there's no way I can do a monthly comic and color it. It just takes too long. And I luckily had enough time to do that very first story. And Pierluigi Castellino has colored the rest of the series. Was quite happy to take a stab at trying to match the way I do it. So it was good to be able to have that initial story as a template almost. This is how we approach stuff. And he's done a really, really good job of matching the way I do it, because I appreciate it's not working in your own style is not the easiest way to work. So I really appreciate the effort he's gone to do that.
And can you tell us about your process, about how you put together a page? Does it begin with a pencil and a piece of paper? Is it all digital?
I generally start digitally and do like a kind of rough page layout with almost stick figures. So looking at Dan's script, breaking down what rough shape am I going to make the panels, what angles am I going to show, and I'll show that to Dan and Ben, the editor, just to make sure that that's kind of what they had in mind, or is that going to tell the story sufficiently? And then I'll go to pencils, and I'll either do that digital. So I've done a mix of digital and physical for M.A.S.K. I think that the first issue and the Energon Special was all digital pencils, but just because the deadline's very tight. Whereas from issue 3, I've started penciling it in real life, because one of the downsides of digital art is you never really make anything. It's like you were saying earlier about you don't enjoy reading comics on screen. I think artwork is the same, really. It's nice you can make beautiful things on a computer, but it doesn't feel quite the same as actually putting something onto a bit of paper and having it in the world. But yeah, and then I always ink digitally though, because of the way I set up my pages with, like, I use a lot of transparency and stuff. If I draw an explosion, I'll do it as of shape in color as opposed to an outline generally. So I always work digitally to finish that stuff.
I noticed or made the observation that when your colors sort of put me in a mind bit of like Copic markers, like the I don't know if you're familiar with him, but like Sam Moore Ugly Ink.
Okay,
that sort of very sort of bold, almost sort of painterly kind of use of color. I wondered if you'd sort of played with that as a medium as well for color in any of your work.
No, I did a few Petrol Head commissions where I used an airbrush, which worked quite well. Because again, I'm not hugely confident inking my own work, but I do enjoy pencil drawings, and like the airbrush allowed me to do a decent pencil sketch, and then get some. So I used like designers gouache and got some really neon
physical airbrush in 2025, 2024.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. And I've sort of said to Rob, actually, I'm not sure I could do an entire book in it because it'd take too long, but it'd be nice to do a little Petrol Head sort of side story that's 5 pages that I can fully paint using the airbrush and pencils. Coloured pencil and airbrush, and get quite a unique look for it. But that's a time thing, like the reality of deadlines mean that a lot of the time you've just got to do it the quickest way you can.
Question for both of you. Is there a character that is starting to speak to you as more interesting in terms of personality and motivations or design that you hadn't expected when you started the project?
I think it's an obvious one, but Tracker was always going to be fun. I don't think I was prepared for quite how fun Matt Tracker is, and when we get there without wanting to spoil too much. But you know, we know it's coming. It's M.A.S.K. But Scott as well. The two of them are and maybe not in the way you expect, like, but they're both really fun. Like I just every page with them on it is just always like sort of, you know, sort of cracking my knuckles, getting down to it because they're gonna do something unexpected or sort of just audacious.
So you've dropped it in there, Scott Tracker making a potential appearance. Does that mean that we're getting a T-Bob at some point?
Hopefully not.
Well, one of the first things I said to Dan was when we first met and talked about stuff was, you know, please can we rehabilitate T-Bob a little bit? hopefully we'll be able to do that.
It's going to be a Decepticon, right? It's going to hurt someone and destroy a building, and then it's too big and it's really scary looking. That's my guess.
Yeah, we're going to go as edgy. We're going to go as edgy of it as we possibly can. It's T-Bob the World Ender, they call him.
M.A.S.K as a property is an interesting one because at a high level, it's quite familiar to us. We sort of like caught some of the, you know, the cartoons in our youth. We maybe had the toys, but it didn't make such a big sort of cultural impression in the way that maybe G.I. Joe and Transformers has in terms of an ongoing kind of property that's alive, you know, as a toy in media, etc. So it's more of like a sort of a nostalgic sense of what M.A.S.K might have been rather than necessarily what it was. So, have you sort of approached the book with a certain, you know, thinking in mind as to kind of the assumed knowledge as to how much people know or remember of M.A.S.K, and what sort of level of research have you done of what to include?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think part of that's quite freeing in terms of it. There are these building blocks to sort of play with, but not as much has been done with them. So you're more likely to do something new with this than you maybe are with, you know, there's been a bunch of different iterations of Joe, a bunch of different iterations of Transformers. The fact that the M.A.S.K stuff is kind of raw material to be reinvented is quite freeing. I never want to assume a prior knowledge from a reader. So my hope is always that you can go into something fresh, and what's on the page should always be all you should need to know. The stakes should always be clear. Who people are should always be clear. What their relationship is, you know, as far as you need to know for the story, should be like relatively clear. And you know, that goes for issue 350 or issue 1. As far as I'm concerned, because I just think if you aren't doing that, you are relying on prior knowledge or other people's work to make your stuff matter, and to me as a creator, that's a failure. So M.A.S.K is kind of a gift in this aspect, where it's like, hey, here's all this like raw material that hasn't really been reinvented before, and we're the ones kind of stepping out into that territory.
Parr, what about you from a visual sort of reinvention point of view? How are you kind of approaching that?
Yeah, I agree with what Dan said firstly, actually, about the it's quite freeing having slightly less weight of like lore behind it. And certainly in my own memory, you know, like I enjoyed M.A.S.K and played with the toys a lot, but I remember the toys much more than I did any particular plot in the cartoon. And I haven't read the comics, to be honest. But yeah, I approached it. So I kind of I wanted to make the cars look more modern, but it almost like what they call in the sort of car circles, like a resto mod. So you'll take an old car, give it new suspension, you know, make a modern version of an old car. So there's plenty of companies who do this kind of thing, and that's the look that I wanted to go for across the vehicles. So yeah, like going for Thunderhawk first, just so flaring the wheel arches more and sort of taking some of the parts off that I found a little bit goofy and replacing them with stuff that I thought worked a little bit better. And sort of making more of the car interiors as well, you know, like if this car is going to take off, what's going to be in the back seat? It's not going to be chairs. It's going to be all sorts of crazy hidden boosters and stuff like that, and how can other parts of the vehicle work to make it fly. And likewise with the costumes, if someone has a car that turns into a boat, which is like Dan will tell you, about 95% of them, give the driver something that would change their costume to be helpful in that situation. So Slyrax has more of a kind of, he is half biker, half wetsuit almost. And that was a good. So although I take quite a lot of inspiration from the originals, because I don't want to change them that much, it's just sort of tweaking them so that their costumes are a bit less random. You know, Alex Sector wearing a cardigan and some slacks. I think I mean, he hasn't actually done very much exciting yet, but I have designed him a costume that means he could go outside without catching his wool on some brambles and stuff.
If my sports car flew, I know what I'd want in the back seat. I'd want a parachute. Skybound always impresses me for its scheduling, for getting ahead of things. May I ask, Dan, what issue are you plotting or writing? Pye, what issue are you drawing right now?
I am almost done on issue 3.
Okay.
I'm hopefully today I'll be finishing issue 6, and I have plotted up to the end of issue 12.
Cool. Neat.
So nice and out ahead.
Yeah.
And Dan, our fellow podcaster Chris McLeod on the Full Force, he complimented you on your writing, and specifically around the use of the code names for the M.A.S.K characters. We noted that each of the M.A.S.K characters has got a name, a code name, a name of the M.A.S.K, and a name of a vehicle. So there's a few names to keep track of, but that their actual code names are kind of lesser used historically. But like the likes of, is it Slyrax and Wrecker, sort of as a fun callback to that little piece of lore.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's cool to get those things in there. I don't want it to sort of take over, because yes, there's too many code names. I think is a fair observation. We don't necessarily need them all on the page. I'm not taking them away.
I don't think we've named any of the masks so far, particularly in the comic.
We have in issue 4. There's some yeah. It just hasn't come up too much yet, I don't think. But
no, that's the thing. It's one of those things that doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. Because I mean, sort of in my sort of mind, Tracker's sort of, he's tinkering with all these different toys he's building and stuff. He's probably going to like name them as he goes, just to sort of differentiate them for himself. But it's more about that. And again, the team is more of it's more of a network. It's kind of a thing. Like, they don't necessarily need like a ton of code names. They're all on the M.A.S.K network, and they sort of they use each other's real names and stuff for the most part. But I did want to make sure, throw in a couple of those sort of Easter eggs. Like, if we know if Wrecker comes up, they're talking about Slyrax and things like that.
And on the last page of the special, there's the kind of the reveal of all of the watches, sort of the alerts sounding and establishing that there is this network that's been built up already. Are we going to see much sort of looking back to how people have been recruited and all that kind of things, or is it more of a things are in place, let's keep going?
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's the Energon Universe, and I think the sort of spirit of the Energon Universe is very much like you go forward and it's high octane, it's fast paced. But as to like how people are recruited and how Tracker knows them, I think like those are all like important pieces of backstory that will sort of inevitably sort of shine through. Because a lot of them are on the network fairly begrudgingly, because Tracker he's a super genius, his heart is roughly in the right place, and people tend to know this about him, it doesn't mean they have to like him, and most of them don't.
Mark, help me out. Was it issue 19 of GI Joe that Andrea Milana drew, where there were 4 panels in a row with Matt Tracker in various international locations with no captions and no word balloons, and we thought, I guess he's just getting away. But and I said, I don't think that means anything. And then Mark said to me, no, I think that's Matt Tracker recruiting people for M.A.S.K. So comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think after issue 1, it will be like sort of readily apparent. But yeah,
Okay.
like there are people all around the world with M.A.S.K watches, so they got them somehow.
A final page of a first issue, or a kind of first issue, is often hard to pull off really well. And at the risk of complimenting my guests again, I just want to say, when I read this, when I got to the final page, I chuckled out loud, because this is a very exciting. It is so inherent in the brand, and Dan, maybe as a writer, like, this was sort of obvious, or the first thing that occurred to you. It's like, no, he's going to call everyone, but also the visual that we go from 1 panel to 3 panels to 4 panels to 5 panels to like 6 panels. We're getting closer and we're getting closer, and then Pye. As we close in on the eye, it's a circle, and then the circle is right next to the word world. So as a narrative and visual depiction, as a last page of a first issue, I found it very satisfying and exciting. So there's no question here. It's just cool.
Oh, thank you. I love drawing that whole bit, because it just felt like that whole issue feels a little bit like the last 2 or 3 pages become the theme tune starting before issue 1 of the cartoon. That's how I felt drawing it. Also, it's a bit of a Easter egg for you. There's a shameless self insert of myself on that page.
Are you the unhoused guy sitting against a dumpster in New York? I thought Dan was in America. Although this guy might have long hair. There's a hat.
Yeah.
So
No, that's down. It's the
Yeah, struggling in New York.
There's a man with a pen in his hand.
There's a man with a pen in his.
The bottom right there.
Above the word network.
Oh, okay. Right. Well,
there you go.
On the drawing board.
I would say, like, for me that page felt like a bit of a gamble, primarily because Pye and I hadn't worked together yet, and we didn't know each other before we started on this book. And then I'm like, having the audacity to be like, here's the first 12 pages we're working together, and here's a 20-panel page.
Yeah,
I was like,
this is totally. Yeah,
this is how it's going to be forever. And it would have been fair if you'd, like, flown to New York and come to my house and punched me.
No, I think it works really well. Anything that serves the story is worth doing. It was great.
I mean, Dan, you could have a final page that's like a full page splash of a big battle in Times Square, and that could be maybe more appropriate as a final page, but harder to pull off. I'm a sucker for more panels on a page.
Final question from me. It was a delight sort of seeing in that special, like, all of the little wider Energon Universe Easter eggs, sort of setting it in Rio Lindo, location from G.I. Joe, sort of calling out extensive enterprises, and a newspaper sort of alluding to the Transformers and all of this kind of stuff. How much of a part of the Energon universe will this be? How much of a bleed across can we expect to see? Or is it initially going to be relatively self-contained?
Yeah, I mean, there'll be plenty. The Mars network exists because of things that have happened in both Transformers and G.I. Joe, and the emergence of Energon and how that's changed the world. There's definitely themes that we sort of planted in Destro that we're picking up again here, in terms of, the world changing, and how people are reacting to that. We saw that with Destro and his very sort of villainous ways and his fears of getting left behind as an arms developer. Whereas here, it's people who are on the ground and are like, this is dangerous and this is, this has potential to cause people harm, and there's a lot of a reaction. M.A.S.K is a reaction to that in a big way. But like also in terms of like in sort of literal things, I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming up that is definitely not. We're definitely not siloing M.A.S.K off. It's definitely like in conversation with all these things.
As both a reader and as a retailer, I'm excited to have a different Energon Universe comic every week. So thank you for making entertaining fiction that I can enjoy and also sell. And maybe we can have you back in 6 months or a year when something shocking happens in the book and we have to check back in about it, or Skybound says you should really want to check back in about this with some of our talent.
Sounds good to me.
I would gladly come back on. This has been the best one.
Boom. I bet you say that to all the G.I. Joe podcasts.
He's said that to every
okay.
Yeah, shame.
But you know what? I'm gonna believe it.
Thank you so much, guys, for taking the time and joining us. And a call to action: M.A.S.K will arrive in stores June the 3rd, 2026.
I think it's June the 10th, actually, the first issue.
Oh, yeah, June the 10th. Okay, it's moved.
It got delayed?
Yeah, my fault.
Well, I know who I don't want back on the show.
Yeah, right. Well, it's June the 10th. It's June the 10th because I coloured that Energon Universe Special story, basically.
Well, I do love the colours in the Energon Universe.
Yeah, there you go. So,
that'll give them some extra time to do some more covers.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining us and taking the time. Really looking forward to it. It's one of those books where potentially I could have been on the fence, but I think, the team involved, the way that it's been introduced as in that Energon Universe Special, and the cliffhanger that we've been left on, it's now essential reading. So I have been won over. I am a definite convert to this book. So yeah, and I haven't really been a M.A.S.K fan in the past when in the last incarnation. So yeah, it's a definite in case of me being won over by this one. Cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's lovely to hear. Thanks
very much. I appreciate it.
So, Tim, that was great. Nice speaking to Dan again and meeting Pye and talking about the M.A.S.K book. I'm super excited about this book and actually really looking forward to it.
Yes, I'm a little torn because since we've not had Pye Parr on the show before, and he's had many interesting illustration and design jobs, and I like asking questions about process, I would love to do the 2-hour interview where Skybound says, just keep going, as opposed to Skybound saying, how about a shorter interview? But we do appreciate Skybound giving us the opportunity to grab not just one, but 2 Energon Universe talents. And as in agreement with what you just said, I am also very excited about this comic. I think I was always gonna read it. I think I was always gonna enjoy it. But it does feel much more exciting and urgent because of the talent involved, and now and that it's connected to the other ongoing stories. But now that I've read a good sliver of it, I really like what I see. And I think the point was well made in our interview just now that there is some material out there that we're all lightly familiar with if we're not major M.A.S.K fans. And now we can see what hefty talents in the modern era can do with it, with a lot of momentum, and particularly when it's linked up with other things. So I hope all the Energon Universe fans will enjoy it, and I hope the Energon Universe fans who are only reading G.I. Joe will check it out.
Yes, indeed. So, 10th of June is the date that it comes out, pushed back a week from the initially advertised 3rd of June, which is the date in the back of that book that you're holding.
Yes, so this is incorrect, but I just went to the Image Comics website, and the release date there for Mask number 1 is June 10th.
Very good. Now, if you want to find out more about us, you can find us at the website, talkingjoe.co.uk. Is the Talking Joe website that points you in all of the directions that we can be found, such as our Patreon page, patreon.com/talkingjoe. So a big thanks to our Patreon members: Richard, Sam, Christopher, Shane, Simon, Chris, Joe, Craig, D, Shane V2. This one has got a car with wings. Infinite Entertainment, Gary V, Coldroff B, Squishy, Matt, Edu B, and anyone else that has joined since we recorded this. So they are getting early access to content as well as a warm glow in their hands and hearts. I don't know where the hands came from.
Is that a mask reference? Does someone have gloves?
I don't know. Maybe.
Can they charge their gloves?
Warm glow coming out of their eye beams.
Spectrum's got such supervision, and Spectrum gloves have such super grip.
Maybe. Tim, where can you be found when you're not talking to me about G.I. Joe and adjacent properties?
On YouTube, Atomic Abe. That's a channel with video essays. In person at my comic book store, Hub Comics. That's just outside of Boston. And on the internet, on my blog, that's arealamericanbook.com.
Atomic Abe's got such super videos.
Oh.
And Tim's comic, The Center Holds, is also coming out monthly-ish. So seek that out at your local comic book store from Boom Studios. So I think that is us done, Tim. Until next time, anything to shout out?
Nobody Beats Talking Joe, an international podcast.
That's it.
Of crusaders fighting crime.
You're over time. We're out of time. Laters.